Today in the Smuggler's Room, we're creating our own Greebly design. A kit, as it were. Something that we can use in our very next room build. And you know what? It's something you can have too. That's coming up. What's up, you awesome geeks? I'm Brian and welcome to the Smuggler's Room. This week, this chubby geek is designing our own Droid interface terminal completely from scratch. This is one of those projects we've been wanting to do for a really long time. And we also wanted to offer it up to any of you that might want to try this yourself. But first, we got to start with the design. For a build such as this, design is the key, and reference material is what makes that happen. Now, there are several sites on the internet that we are big fans of, but one of my favorites is StarWarsScreenCaps.com. They have screen captured still images from 4K video from just about every Star Wars film there is. This site gives you the flexibility to be able to dive into one of your favorite films and examine it scene by scene. You know, if you're that much of a geek, and raise your hand if you are. One of the aspects of StarWarsScreenCaps.com that I loved is that they recently posted all of the Mandalorian episodes. And it's actually from Chapter 6, The Prisoner, that we were mostly inspired for this current build. In these couple clips, I saw some great looking parts that I thought we could try to emulate and build into the Socket project. So we jumped into Adobe Illustrator and spent a good chunk of time drawing up the designs and narrowing down that design until we came up with a variety of socket wheels as well as the box details. Then it's off to the laser cutter and a mix of materials. Now that we have everything cut, here's what we have. This is the back box design, cut from 1/8 inch draft board, which is really close to MDF. Then we have 2 layers of acrylic for the top and a variety of socket wheels that we can layer in several configurations in this design. For this build, we'll be attaching what we can mechanically, but other than that, our primary adhesive is CA glue, specifically Bob Smith CA glue, but more on them in a bit. Now, to assemble the details, I wanted to be able to have a mechanical fit to the box overall, so we designed 6 unique pieces that will fit the M6 nut for our M6 25mm socket head screws. These are glued together with the nut inside and then attached to the MDF box in 6 locations. I love how this allows for a tight fit for the top pieces, and it gives me access inside the box if I want to fix something with the electronics or make custom changes later. Since the box will have LEDs, we created a couple of boxes that the LEDs would be housed in and help focus the light for both the vent and the colored tile areas. We also decided that an orange acrylic cover would give a great glow with that orange look on the vent section. Today, geeks, we are so excited to share products with you from our sponsor, Bob Smith Industries. We love projects with mechanical connections. However, we know many projects have aspects to them that simply need to be glued. And I'll let you in on a little secret. Bob Smith adhesives are the best out there. As prop makers and room builders, you often need to glue materials that are not always meant to go together. Plastic to metal, foam to PVC, and so many other crazy mixes. Bob Smith Industries has just about every solution you might need. Whether it's your go-to CA glue with activator or 5-minute epoxy, you can find it with them. We cannot thank them enough for sending us an awesome sample kit to sponsor this episode. And we're going to put all of the links to Bob Smith Industries in the description below so you can check them out for yourself. Thank you guys. All the acrylic parts have a protective paper that has to be removed before we can glue up or paint. With the center gear, even with the scribed lines, it's tough to see where the little pieces need to fit perfectly. So we kept the piece that you end up with when all those parts are made and use that as a template. As long as you don't overglue to the point of squeeze out, the technique works perfectly. To make the gear and the wheels move, we cut a series of inserts with a 1/4-inch center hole. This will allow you to insert a rod, or in this case, a bolt, in place of all your parts so that you can still have motion. You can stack these inserts, and that gives you separation between each wheel. One thing I really wanted was a frame around the socket and wheels. I cut this from MDF and glued these together. This certainly worked, but you could have a fair amount of waste parts. However, we were able to use those in the rest of the build. You certainly could create this with a number of other materials, as well as styrene. Styrene comes to mind immediately and worked great for this. For the LEDs, I picked specifically a model that has the resistors built in. It's an extra step that you won't have to take, and they have a power range of 9 volt to 12 volt. I love these little guys, and we'll put a link in the description for you. Now for this project, I had ordered some stepper motors to try to automate the wheel. Sadly, with everything that's going on right now, the shipment was significantly delayed. But we'll be giving that a shot soon, and we'll share that aspect of the build with you. And we want to take just a couple of seconds to thank our Patreon members. You all continue to blow our minds with your generosity and support. We couldn't do these projects without you. Thank you so much. also dug into my Greebly bin to find some interesting parts to add to the overall look, which included a restraining bolt that we 3D modeled, molded, and cast out of resin. To say that I am more excited about this geeky project than I probably should be. I have always wanted to design something straight from my head and have all the parts work seamlessly together. Now we have this exact kit on our website if you want to pick one up and try it yourself. Additionally, we made the center gear socket and all the wheels available there if you just want to pick those up. But that really wasn't the motivation behind this project. I wanted to try to design something from concept, putting it into Illustrator, coming up with all the measurements and how it would fit together, and then using the tools I had available and see if I could produce a functional prototype. With the exception of electronics moving the wheel, which we will do by the way, it turned out pretty sweet, and it's going into the bench in the basement build, and I can't wait to share that with you. We've got the electronics in, there's a box of Greeblies over there, and the 3D printer is printing up some pretty amazing pieces for the Dejaric table. But all that's gonna have to wait until the next time we build something out of nothing.